And then I'm going to start whenever before we start, I want to start recording. So. Oh, that looks wonderful.
Hey, Steve, can you close that door, please?
See, we're being nice.
Could you hear him?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good.
Okay. It says we're live. In just a second, I'll start recording and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Can she see it?
See that it says live on YouTube.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, we are live. So I am going to start recording. So we are live on YouTube and we are recording. So you ladies can get started.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Review.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2020-2021 NAWIC National Officer Candidate Town Hall. We're glad to be here with you tonight and introduce our National Officer Candidate. Due to a little bit of a technological glitch last week, we had to reschedule, so apologies for that. But we look forward to the opportunity of getting to know these candidates and having them express to us a little bit of why they're running and where they see NAWIC going in the future. Our candidates tonight are President-elect Jill Hansen, CDT, CIT, ESP. We have President-elect candidate Doreen Bartoldes, PE, CCM, DBIA, ENVSP. Vice President candidate Lawlene Mitchell. Treasurer candidate Karen Hager, CBT, CIT. And Christy Stewart, CIT. Christy's having a little bit of a difficulty there getting her picture up, but she's certainly going to communicate with us with the audio. So welcome, ladies. The format tonight, we will have about 3 minutes for each candidate to introduce themselves and give us a little bit of a highlight on where they see NAWIC going in the future. And then we'll have an opportunity to ask some questions and a little bit deeper into these ladies' philosophies and what they see their leadership and will help NAWIC this upcoming year. So let's get started with the introductions. Jill, we'll start with you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jill Hansen. I am a 16-year member, joined the Tampa, Florida chapter in the Southeast region. I've been in the industry for about 20 years and had a lot of education and professional development that I've gotten through my membership with NAWIC. I truly believe in the relationships that our network of members provides to our membership. I want to expand on that and grow our relationships between our members and grow the relationships between NAWIC and other organizations. So let me lead you forward as we travel the road to the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Next is Doreen.
Thank you. I'm Doreen Bartoldes. I'm a construction management leader for Jacobs in New York. And I just first want to thank Amber and Chrissy and Sandy actually for setting this all up. I see this as a silver lining to our predicament and that we are using technology to create this opportunity for everyone to meet the candidates. It's an example of technology democratizing our campaign so more candidates can step forward without the worry of funding a campaign. So I look forward to this being part of our new normal, actually, too. My profile can give you all my background online, but just briefly, I have a 40-year construction career, a career that I built by continued education and advancement. And I have 16 years with NAWIC And that with that, my passion is to lead this organization indoors through aligning with the strategic plan and the vision of NAWIC and mentoring and empowering women to become leaders. I believe we can achieve national recognition, provide support to chapters, and increase growth of your membership value. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Doreen. Vice President candidate Lawleen Mitchell.
Good evening, and thank you, Sandy, and everybody behind the scenes who helped make this happen. Again, apologies for the efforts last time that we had a really good practice session. I enjoyed myself. It was lovely talking to everybody since we've been in isolation. We're sheltering in place here in California, where I am right now. I'm part of the Pacific Northwest, my San Francisco number 19 chapter. I went through all of the chairs, the local chapter, and then took on the directorship a couple of years ago for the Pacific Northwest, and this year am the national secretary, and next year hope to be the vice president. And I look forward to working with all of these ladies whom I've sat on the board with in the past and feel like we're all going to work really well together. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity for us to help bring NAWIC into the 20th century and push us ahead, get us moving forward, doing things like Zoom meetings and thinking about other alternative ways to get our name out there and make us the best we can be.
Thank you, Lawleen. Karen's our treasurer candidate.
Hi, thank you, Sandy, and thank you everyone for joining us. And I just have to let you know, I do cut my own bangs, just saying. And I'm not in quarantine, so that's even worse. But my name is Karen Hager, CIT-CBT. I'm with the Greater Orlando chapter in the Southeast region, and I'm running a second term for your treasurer. And I just have to say that with over 34 years in construction accounting, being a part of NAWIC is like the highlight of my career. NAWIC creates leaders, and we're all leaders in this industry and in NAWIC. And so running for a second term is just something I felt that I needed to do, because NAWIC has turned me into the leader I am today. And by encouraging and supporting me to step out of my comfort zone, which this is way out of my comfort zone, I have to tell you that much. And I feel like I'm part of the Brady Bunch here, looking at everyone. And so step out of my comfort zone and to believe in myself. And this is something I want to carry forward as NAWIC progresses into its next phase of growth. So I'm committed to being your treasurer for next year and making sure the finances of our association are being used in the best interests of the member and following our strategic plan, and also continue to be a resource to guide and assist anyone who has any need.
Very good. Thank you, Karen. And our secretary is Christy Stewart.
Thank you, Sandy. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My apologies for the technical difficulties on my end, but I'm sure that everyone is well aware of what it looked like. My number one priority as National Secretary will be to assist you, the members. My goals are your goals. Help me, help us. Let's continue to grow our organization and educate the women within our industry. Since joining the Durham chapter in 2012, I served on the national level as the South Atlantic Region Director from 2017 to 2019, and on the regional level as Professional Development and Education Chair and Membership Chair. Now, at the local level, I'm now currently serving as the chapter president. I previously held positions on the board of directors and participated in various committees with other chapters in the region. And I originally got my NAWIC start back in 2001 in the Southeast region with the Tallahassee, Florida chapter. I've got over 20 years experience in the construction industry, and I'm really looking forward to communicating, working with this board, and continuing the work that we have previously started in the past. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. So there you have it, everyone. You know where these ladies are from and their passion for serving NAWIC and women in the industry. We've got a few questions to start with. And again, feel free to get into the chat there and ask questions if you have some you'd like to ask. First, we're going to start with Doreen. What is the biggest challenge facing NAWIC in the next year, and how can we best handle that challenge?
Yes, and I guess our challenge will be our membership and our members. And actually, that's both on the human side, going through this pandemic, and on the business side, keeping NAWIC solid. On the human side, NAWIC on every level needs to continue to support the members that are right now losing jobs and possibly family. Our chapters are probably the biggest part of just giving local support in that regard. But NAWIC can be there as a place for when the construction industry picks up again as well. We are the go-to to find the best women for their jobs. And here we can reinvigorate and highlight our career network and job bank, which actually I've seen it's running right now on our website. On the business side, we need to be innovative and targeted and stay on course with our strategic plan and marketing NAWIC to the construction industry. We will definitely be in a brand new era. We need to stay focused on what brings NAWIC the best returns on our investment. So.
Thank you, Doreen. Jill, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, we're definitely going to have a new norm that's going to come out of this pandemic, and it's impossible to know, I think, at this point what effect it's going to have on both all of our chapters, our association, and our industry. So I think the most important thing for us to do is to make sure that we're keeping our members informed and we're keeping everybody connected in some capacity. And that's going to be embracing technology, which, yay, Zoom. I mean, thank goodness for Zoom. So I think we have to be ready for change, and I think that this has just been a huge hit, and not in a negative way necessarily. So.
Okay, thank you. Laurleen, your thoughts?
This is a tough time, very clearly unprecedented. And I think that what we need to do is, number one, stick together and show support, as both Jill and Doreen mentioned, and be there for each other. Whether it is as simple as jumping on a Zoom call and seeing your faces and having an opportunity to just commune with each other for a few minutes and realize that we're still here, we have our health, we're good, and take care of each other in whatever way we can. Whether it is also networking and offering suggestions or opportunities that you may have heard of. But again, maintaining that connection in any way that is possible. But also for us financially, this is going to be a challenge in the next year. And we're going to have to take a look at everything as it comes through, try to determine if it needs to be budgeted for, if it's something that can be put off. We're going to need to prioritize. We're going to have to look at the best ways to do this. I am still optimistic that our industry will rebound well. My firm has been fortunate in that we do affordable housing, and so we are considered essential right now. And I know there are other firms out there that are also working, and it's a double-edged sword because we're concerned about the health of our staff and the health of all of us. But at the same time, you're also happy that you do at least have a job and can move things forward. But as an association, I think we're going to have to tighten our belt a little bit and make some tough decisions. But again, stick together and hopefully positively remain in place.
Very good. Thank you, Laurleen. Christy. Are you still with us, Christy?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, the
I think
question.
the biggest challenge,
Go ahead.
the biggest challenge facing us is, of course, with the pandemic and the COVID. I also think that it's going to be how we recover from this. I feel like life as we have lived it is forever changed. I believe that, businesses are going to start having more employees work from home, and they're going to scale down. They're going to see that they may not need those positions. Shopping's changed. I think that we're going to see a lot of that. I also think that we're also going to be faced with the same things that we've been faced before. bridging the gap between our younger members and our seasoned members, or things like that. I think that we're going to have a lot of challenges. I don't think it's just going to be one particular thing.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Well, I agree with everyone else that this pandemic is really going to change the face of our industry and how we communicate with each other and how we network with each other. I mean, we're going to have a challenge with the social distancing culture that we found ourselves in. And I think it's really changed the mindset of a lot of people, and it's scary. And even though we may have a downturn in membership because of monetary constraints, people losing their jobs or companies tightening their belts, it's the gathering and networking that may change. My hope is that members will remain vigilant in their personal care, but not move away from interacting with other members and attending annual conference and the regional conferences so that they can still get the educational portion that they need from NAWIC.
Very good, thank you. We certainly don't want to lose the human side of doing business.
Right.
If you had to pick one item related to value in NAWIC, what would you say is that number one item NAWIC members can use in talking to prospective new members? We're going to start with you, Christy.
Thank you, Sandy. For me, it's making connections that build relationships. NAWIC has always been a passion. My belief in our core values came early on. And by continuing my leadership as National Secretary, I pledge to connect our members with more women in the industry. I believe that it's my responsibility to assist in improving communications between and to our members. The professional development and education, the mentoring, the networking, the camaraderie, you can't get that anywhere else. There's so much power in this organization. To me, NAWIC truly speaks for itself.
Very good, thank you, Christy. Karen?
Well, I have the same idea. I mean, it's the connections and the relationships you make, and it's an interesting question. I hear a lot of members say that you join NAWIC for one reason, but you stay for another. I mean, when I joined NAWIC, it was for professional growth during a time when I was growing with my company. And I stay for what the growth has given me. I mean, I found that even though through the connections and relationships I made and continue to make through NAWIC, I don't only grew professionally, but I grew personally. I mean, it's one thing to be able to network with women that can help you in your career, giving you advice and industry relevant information and getting you contacts within your companies. But it's another to create relationships with women that can help you grow as a person, to be able to teach you how to speak up for yourself, to gain confidence in yourself and find hidden talents that you never imagined you had. I mean, to me, that's real value.
Absolutely. Lalaine?
I'd have to say, as my elevator pitch for becoming a Red Rose recruiter a couple of years ago, was the beauty of being able to pick up the phone anywhere in the United States and call someone who can give me tips or tricks and ideas for not only my position, but increasing our business or learning how to do something new. It's amazing to me how wonderful the network of our association is. You say you're with NAWIC and you pick up the phone and you're like, hey, I see you're out east and you guys have this ad up. Can you tell me how you got it started? Who did you go to? And people are so willing to speak to you. And I just love that about us. That's the best thing about us to me, is the opportunity to find others who can either mentor, instruct, just talk with reasonably, talk you down when you've had a bad day or talk you up when you need it. It's just amazing to me. And I think that that is the best thing about us, in the sense of we are women supporting other women within our industry, which tends to be a tough industry. It is not easy to work in construction. And so I appreciate the support and all the efforts. I've never had anybody turn down a call or be rude about, a question that I might have. So I want to thank everybody that I have reached out to, and I've tried to return the favor when people call me. So please don't shy away from asking for things within the association, because I guarantee you're going to get what you need.
Thank you. Jill?
I'll just continue right along.
I know.
To me, it's the network of relationships that NAWIC has to offer. We have an association that is so broad, but touches on everything that our industry does, which I think helps. I mean, it's helped me in growing our service line for our business, that I can have this network of people nationwide that I can reach out to at any point and ask a question. How do you do it in your state? Because I have, issues that I have to deal with for my clients that are state related and state mandated. And sometimes it's not, Google's great, but sometimes it's not perfect. So, just knowing that I can pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them a question, and that they're going to answer the phone, and that they're going to tell me best practices. I mean, it's such an odd, just because we're not competing with each other on a typical association aspect to me. We're not competing with each other for work. I mean, the greatest competitions we have are candidate competitions, and I mean, Doreen and I are friends, so it's not a claw your eyes out, talk behind your back kind of thing. It's just, everything is very open and very welcoming. And I encourage members to use that. I think newer members just don't realize what they have at their fingertips. And obviously non-members have no clue what they can have access to.
Right. Thank you, Jill. Doreen?
Well, first I wanted to say just world peace. If anybody's seen that movie, I just want to, and I'm a little fachade because Jill and I are still friends. So, yes, like world peace, connection, I think that is the most value that we get. And not to negate that, NAWIC's been around for 65 years. This is a very solid organization and something we can lean on. But these connections I speak to in my video as well. And when you first join NAWIC, you meet mentors, meet friends, and as you continue in your NAWIC journey, you make very solid relationships that are supportive and meaningful, but can also mean new businesses and new jobs. So, for example, just very recently, Jen Sproul, our Northeast Regional Director, and I connected. I just started Jacobs back in November, but she's been with Barton Malow, and we connected our two companies. And it's because it was based on our relationship. And both our companies, like, how do you know each other? So hopefully there's a joint venture out there of Jacobs and Barton Malow as a result of Jen and I's connection. So these are the kind of connections that take time and they are priceless. And as we have been, we need to sing them out loud.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we forget the resources available to us, and we need to certainly market that and make everyone aware that there are some really meaningful resources available through our NAWIC membership. Next question, what's your vision for NAWIC? Now, this isn't the generalized moving forward or adding value comments. Specifically, where do you see leading the association, and how do you propose we get there? Karen, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, I believe we need to reach all levels of the construction industry, talking about helpers, plumbers, project managers, admin, business owners, the whole spectrum. And we're already doing that pretty much by working on creating affinity groups. And besides the education we provide, I would like to see more chapters using the mentoring program and us having some way to let members know who's able to help them. I had a goal when I was a director to create a members skill database. I wasn't able to complete that, but as I understand it, this is also a goal of our National PD&E committee. So the mentoring doesn't have to be contained in the chapter. A member from Florida can have a mentee in California and vice versa if they know who to reach out to. So that's how, through mentoring and education, that's how that's how helpers become plumbers, plumbers become project managers become business owners. So maybe we can create a mentoring page, blog, whatever, where people who are seeking mentors can post their needs and vice versa.
Good idea. Christy?
My vision is to change the face of construction. I think by bringing all women in construction together, regardless of what our career positions are, it's a great time to be a woman, even better to be a woman in construction. I think meeting and getting to know our association members across the regions and reflecting their concerns is something that I will inspire to do during my term. It's vitally important in our association for our leadership to reflect and advance the modern wants and needs, opportunities, and vision for our memberships and lay out a clear path forward. I have a strong voice. I think everyone knows that about me. I have a clear vision to assist our members as together we can change the face of construction. I have a goal as National Secretary to use my skill sets to continue the hard work of our previous leaders while contributing through ideas and designs that will increase our efforts, that will advance our association. While together, the board, we help our members and build those networking opportunities to create new and powerful industry relationships beyond our own backyard. Making connections and building relationships, what we were talking about previously, with other associations, cross-pollinating with other groups is going to help build a stronger and broader foundation. All of these things will not only increase our membership and our visibility throughout the country. I mean, there's power in numbers. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. Laleen?
I have a very lofty goal, actually, and it might be pie in the sky, but I would like to see us become a household name like AGC, AIA, ABC. I think that we can do that, and I think that we just need to concentrate a little bit more on marketing ourselves a little bit better and also talking about ourselves more, just in general. I do think that, again, as we may or may not like to say, but it is true that there are a lot of men in our industry. And I think that we need to market a little bit to them and go for some decision makers in terms of trying to get their attention and explaining the value that we've just been talking about, and make sure that they're aware that the women in their company can also get that value by joining our association. So beyond being a household name, which I agree is a little lofty, I would also, before this pandemic hit, I would have said increasing our membership. I wanted to come up with 50% or 10,000 in 5 years kind of thing. Although again, lofty goals and a girl can dream, right? So that was going to be my slogan, or something I was thinking about if I get the opportunity to get to president, to have us put together some general ideas and some protocols in place to help us hit that. So we may not get to 10,000 while I'm still involved, but it's something to aim for. And again, hopefully moving forward after this pandemic, we'll just maintain membership and continue to add the way that we have over the last 67 years. So
We've been close to that before, and there's no reason why we can't do it again.
I hear you.
Thank you, Laleen. Jill?
I'm really staying along the building relationships line. When I came on as region director for, at that time it was Region 3, but now it's Southeast. That was my platform when I was director, was build relationships. I wanted to see the relationships build between the chapters and within the chapters between their own chapter members. If you have a painter in your chapter, you should know who it is, and you should know who to direct somebody else that's looking for that referral to. And I think that by connecting and having those relationships and creating and capitalizing on those relationships within our chapters, regions, and nationally, both with our own members and with other organizations, that not only is this benefit going to, it's not only will it benefit each member, but it's going to build our membership because outsiders are going to see the benefit of having that network of relationships by being a member of this association. So that's really my thing.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Doreen, we'll let you be the last one to answer this question.
Okay, so basically, I don't know if you saw my email the other day, but I can picture this. So I want NAWIC to be recognized in our industry as a viable and valuable organization. Similar to what Laurleen said, because we're actually very aligned on this because we've served on quite a couple of task force together. Like AGC or ABC, I want NAWIC to like roll off people's tongue and be, you know, a known organization. This is a vision I have had since joining the national board. I chaired the outreach task force, which surveyed many construction firms, which then informed our marketing task force, which Laurleen and I are serving together on now. We will get to where we need to be by continuing to stay the course with our marketing and branding, which is just on our doorstep. This will bring consistent, updated message that reflects who we really are. We need to highlight the success that women have had in this organization, and we can do this we do this at the chapter level really well, but we need to reinforce and bring it to our industry on the national level as well. We will also get there by continuing to work on other sources of funding to build professional education opportunities for our members. And we are just about there also with a new partnership with NEF. So watch out for that rollout as well, and our dawn of a new era with Diane.
Thank you very much. All good thoughts. Next question. Tell us about your best leadership ability. Jill, we'll let you start.
I possess a calm strength, I think, in decision making, leaving emotion at the door and encouraging discussion of facts to be able to make an informed decision. I like to make sure that everybody's had their say. When, it's very important that everybody speaks on the subject at hand when we're in our board meetings and even on the chapter level. So I think that I kind of, I don't, this is funny, I'm not emotional in the boardroom. I know, unbelievable, but you kind of leave your bad day at the door. I mean, you don't bring it in with you. And I think I'm kind of a pretty level-headed and kind of bring a calm to the board.
Thanks, Jill. Christy?
Sorry. For me, a top core competency I have is connections. It's making and sharing them. I have a strength in determining an area for improvement. Put together a method for change, implement that, promote qualified people to successfully execute the plan. I'm an excellent team builder and motivational mentor. Highlights of my valuable leadership skill include the ability to delegate. I think I inspire and I hope I communicate effectively. I think that this is portrayed in the significant increase within our membership within the Durham chapter during my presidency. And I hope to be able to continue to make myself better by working with the board this year.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Karen?
Well, I feel one of my best leadership abilities is being able to interact with people on any level. I'm someone that lets people know I wouldn't ask them to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And I'm always available to help anyone out. So this is personally, professionally, and with NAWIC. And I thrive on teaching someone something and watching them succeed. I mean, a lot of managers, you hear this a lot, aren't leaders. And one reason is because they feel threatened if someone that they manage can do what they can do. So, and I feel the opposite. I would prefer someone who's willing to move up and learn what I know how to do. Otherwise, I'm going to stay in the same position forever. And I'm not going to have anyone to succeed me. So knowing that, I can like speak at any level from the ground up in anything that I do.
Thank you. Laleen?
I'd like to think that it is a calm and collective ability to listen and hopefully understand or truly try to understand what everyone's perspective is or what it is that they're really saying so that we can get together and find commonalities amongst the different opinions or perspectives and find a good path forward for everyone so that no one's losing or not feeling respected, valued, or heard. And I think that that ability has been helpful in keeping the board coherent, not just because of me, but with that attitude, I think more when some people display that or when a few people display that, then more people take a step back and a deep breath before they get upset because they realize people are listening or somebody's willing to hear them. And so I think that it's been really good for our board, for all of us to be able to speak and truly speak freely without judgmental and hear it and then make those decisions as people find the commonality and decide, oh, hey, well, you said this, but I heard this one thing that both of you agreed on. So let's build on that and then move it forward.
Great. Doreen?
Yes, so I would say it's, to start with, it's empathy. And these times in New York, we're kind of reminded of 9/11. And when that occurred in New York City, I was about 7 miles away on a construction project. And as a new resident engineer in charge of that site staff. And I remember staying calm, but unsure what to tell my staff at the time. I didn't know whether they should get sent home or, so I called my boss and he told me to use my instincts. And at that moment, that day, I realized I was more than just a manager. I was making sure a job gets done, not just making sure a job gets done or enforcing contracts. I was working with people. I had to be ready for any crisis and understand what my folks were feeling and act accordingly. So this has translated into my becoming more of a listener, doing my best to understand points of view and building consensus through understanding.
Thank you. All great leadership qualities for sure. Outside NAWIC, but related to work or building, how have you distinguished yourself? Doreen?
What? I was ready to sit back. Okay.
Wait 1 minute.
Well, I've built a career over many years through much hard times and misogyny. So I've done this through educating myself with an engineering degree and a master's in business, looking for opportunity and taking risks, and making sure I had credibility, all those initials that are after my name that Sandy mentioned before. But how I really distinguish myself and why I have been able to advance and move forward in my career is my reputation for integrity. My clients and associates know I am honest and fair. I have built my own reputation and a solid network of construction associates in my region and beyond. And maintaining my integrity was not only important for me to succeed, it was and continues to be critical for those women who follow me. So integrity is how I distinguish myself.
Excellent. Thanks, Doreen. Jill?
I've capitalized on my NAWIC relationships to benefit my company's growth into new markets and regions. When GLE decided to go nationwide, we were able to do that because of my relationships within NAWIC. So I don't have a problem reaching out and calling somebody and saying, hey, can you help me out in this area in California? Because GLE is based in the Southeast, so we don't have any employees out there. So, and we have about 150 national projects that I manage. So I think that I've capitalized on that part of it. And I tend to, I don't say something unless I know it for sure. That's just a side one.
Very good. I seem to recall you reached out to Houston members at one point.
I did. We have about 4 or 5 Houston projects. Yeah.
Those connections are very valuable. Let's see, Laleen?
That was a kind of a tough one, this question, in terms of that. Again, I work hard, and when I ran for director position for P&W, I decided to try to make sure I could speak well in public. So I went to a Toastmasters and joined a club here locally in Oakland that actually was distinguished. And I had no idea. I just walked in and connected with the other members. But in practicing and getting together with them, I now am their secretary for our club this year as well. I've won a few minor notations within our club. But I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I've appreciated the practice and continuing to push myself and get better and grow as a person. So I think that's the best way I could say that.
That's great. That's great. Karen?
Well, I see myself as a critical thinker and a little bit of an overachiever. So if someone comes to me with an issue or a problem, I'll do my best to find a solution. And Jill knows this very well. I have a way of watching something and then turning around and doing it myself. And this has come in handy in multiple situations. And lately, it's come in real handy when applying for a PPP loan for my company. And I'll tell a lot of people, well, mainly my husband, that if I don't know how to do something I've never done before, I don't know how to do it, but I'll find out.
Very good. We're down to you, Christy.
Thank you, Sandy. I think for me, I have branched out and extended my volunteer resume. I have made deep community roots within the Raleigh and Durham areas, serving as part of the steering committee for Apprenticeship Durham 2.0. As a member of the Durham General Contractors Association, they nominated me in 2018 to be their first woman president. I am currently serving on the Durham Public Schools Technical and Career and Technical Education Advisory Board, as well as I have served on the Durham Workforce Development Board. Last year, I had the honor to be part of the Triangle Area event that focused on advancing women in the trades that was hosted by the Raleigh and Durham chapters. I've recognized the need for qualified tradeswomen in our industry. I've aided in the development of a pre-apprenticeship program that exposed high school students to opportunities outside of college to make a living. And I continue to mentor young professionals within our industry, even some that are not in our industry. I plan to continue serving and giving back and paying it forward as best I can.
Excellent. Thanks, Christy. We're going to move on to a few questions that we've received from some of the members. This first question is from Katie Wheeling. She's a member of the Roanoke Valley number 226 chapter. She's a 37 plus year member. And her question to each of you is, what is the future for retired NAWIC members? Who would like to tackle that one first? Doreen?
Yeah, I can start with that. Well, first I want to mention that I'm one of Jill's many inspectors. I've gone and made a little extra money to buy a new purse, by the way. So.
It's all about relationships.
That's right. That's right. And for Katie, I understand. I've met and talked with a lot of retired members, and I'm not too far from that myself, so I can certainly empathize with the situation that they are in. I know I was around when they voted, and well, when it changed that retired members can't vote anymore. So I definitely empathize with that. But they were, we wouldn't be NAWIC today if it wasn't for the retired members that we have now. So we need to keep our retired members engaged. I mean, they can serve on committees. They're an excellent resource for membership and for their histories. We also have many fabulous past national presidents who have retired, and they are active, and we need to be recognizing them as well. So I think Karen mentioned the affinity groups before, and that's one of the things I was thinking about. We should have a retired member affinity group where those members can get together, speak about their issues, and bring that forward to us to see what we can do more to serve our retired members.
Very good. Jill?
Well, I don't, I agree with Doreen. I mean, obviously we need to keep, everybody engaged, every level of our membership engaged. So, hopefully retired members kind of see the honor in being able to talk about these people that they know nationally and introduce them to their chapter members and their region members that may not necessarily know them. Now through elections is the perfect opportunity for retired members to shine. I mean, this is the time for retired members to step up and ask the questions and tell what they know about all the candidates that are running and where they want to see. They have the ability to affect change in this association just by their influence and by their voice. So I'm not really, the question was a little odd to me. I'm not really sure what kind of changes we're looking for, but definitely that affinity group thing, that's a really good idea.
Thanks, Jill. Laureen?
When I read the question, I wasn't quite sure where it was going either, because I don't see a difference between the membership levels. Clearly, I understand there are categories and different payment options, et cetera, et cetera. I understand the mechanics of it. But when I see a NAWIC member, I don't distinguish between an associate or retired or a student. So to me, the future is as bright as you'd like it to be, or as dim as you'd like it to be. In that sense, you get in whatever, you get out what you put in my mind. And so I would encourage any retired member to, as Jill had noted, be as active and as public as you'd like to be, because I definitely value very deeply your historic knowledge, your knowledge of whatever industry you may have served in, the fact that you have had different experiences that I have had. So I'm happy to have members at all levels and, again, all ages. I think it does us a great service to have retired members. So I would just encourage you to, as Jill and Doreen both have said, to continue to network and stay engaged and help us keep the ship going straight.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Karen?
Well, I believe that retired members, they're valuable resources and mentors to the membership and leaders of NAWIC at the chapter, the regional, and the national levels. I mean, just because they're no longer actively employed in the construction industry, they've worked hard and they've paid their dues, and it doesn't diminish their usefulness to the association. I mean, their experience and expertise are invaluable for mentoring members who are new to the construction industry and providing guidance to leadership and committee chairs and board members. I mean, those are the ones that we need right now when we're struggling to help keep us on the straight and narrow and keep people engaged. And I think we need to make a little bit more of an effort to reach out to retired members, because sometimes we do let them go by the wayside, and we need to make sure that we include them in all correspondence and reach out to them for mentoring and guidance.
Thank you, Karen. Christy, would you like to give us your thoughts?
Sure. I think I agree with what everyone has said, bits and pieces of that. So I'll just kind of piggyback. I think in any volunteer organization, it's our members that propel us to, continue and achieve greatness. I think that a lot of our structure is because of our, retired members. I think one of the questions, that I would ask Katie is, what do you want your future in NAWIC to be? Somebody just said, you get out what you put in. what do you want to see this next year? You know, where would you like to be involved? Because we have a lot of task forces, whether it's regional or national, and, you know, we can definitely use the members, the boots on the ground, so to speak, to be able to, you know, help talk about NAWIC and continue, you know, I mean, our core purpose is to strengthen and amplify the success of women in our industry. So we should all be doing that. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a question from past national president, Dove Cyphers-Petman, Charlotte chapter number 121. How do you propose to have NAWIC become more engaged with other industry partners such as ABC, AGC, et cetera? And this is your big lofty goal, Darlene, so we're going to let you tackle it.
Somehow I knew that was going to be mine. Actually, it's interesting because it's interesting because we've given this a lot of thought. As Doreen mentioned earlier, we are currently working with a marketing firm, Taylor Branding Group, who has been instrumental in trying to help us put together a marketing plan that is more comprehensive than we have had in the past. And with that, we'd like to see simple things that are, you know, will take some effort clearly and do cost a little money, but just getting together the display materials for conferences. And Diane has been really good about trying to get us going to different conferences and making sure that there is a NAWIC member in attendance and that they are representing and that they do have materials to share with folks. And we've, you know, gotten sophisticated and can take the barcodes now and connect. And again, we're trying to embrace the technological advances and use them to our benefit to build these relationships and show our value to our partners such as ABC and AGC and AIA or whatever it might be. So part of it is just getting out there, but the other part is also doing it in a very systematic and specific way.
Mm-hmm.
In relationship to this question, I would propose to any of you that could share with us, have you experienced a great partnership with one of these agencies, and how did it come about, and why was it so successful?
I can answer that one. In my chapter level, we have a great partnership with ABC. We have some members that are also ABC members, so we get their information. And one of our members, Pat Walker, used to work for ABC. So we've got that in right there, but we make a point of inviting them to our events and vice versa, because you know, if you just sit back and wait for them to come to you, they'll never come. You have to actively seek them out, and that's what we do. We find ways to attend their events that don't cost us anything, but then we also have the funds to be able to pay for things like an ABC Expo where we can go and set up a booth and put our information out. But we make sure that we invite them as well. We don't just try to get something from them, we try to give in return. And I think that's what they're looking for. Like if they want to interact with you, they want to know what they're going to get in return. They don't want to just give something. They want something back too. So we make sure that we give that also.
Anyone else want to contribute to that?
Yeah, Sandy, actually in New York also, we have, we're building partnerships with the CMAA, the Construction Management Association of America, and with AIA, and similar to what Karen said, we gave them panelists, not gave them, but we were panelists on a program for AIA and for CMAA actually during WIC Week. And in the same vein, they're coming back to us and being panelists or speakers at our functions also. Another example was several years back, actually, there was a woman on the New York Building Congress, which is like a political arm in New York City. And she put together a women's committee, and it involved CREW, Commercial Real Estate Women, NAWIC, Society of Women Engineers, Professional Women in Construction, Women Builders Council. These are all the women's groups that are in New York City. And she put us all together because she knew who we all were. And we partnered and we met with the governor, I forget, the lieutenant governor, Ms. Hochul, Letitia James, who at the time was, so that gave us a lot more exposure to be that kind of partnership. So I think we're doing it really well at the chapter level. And I think we have, we need to get, and we've implemented it actually on the national level, as Wallene had said. We have a partnership with CURT, C-U-R-T, the Industry Roundtable. So I think we just need to better implement it, better advertise it, get more of our women who are in the on the chapter level who are involved in these organizations and already doing that partnership, and bring them, publicize it better and become better partners in that regard.
Okay. Anybody else?
This is Christy. I will share my chapter. The past couple of years, and also the Raleigh chapter, have been involved with joint events. And the Women's AIA group over in Raleigh, we have put together job site tours, and they can get their continuing education credits from that. We've had lunches with the Carolinas AGC group, different associations where we have reached out to them to come and speak to our members. The Young Marketing Professionals group, American Marketing Association, different associations or organizations, groups that are in the areas. I think one of the things that Doreen had touched on, I don't know that we could do too much of this within the chapters. I think it's going to have to the chapters are going to have to reach out and start, making some of these connections, as well as, we can help with that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just want to tell Dove that, if she remembers, during her tenure is when we kicked this off into gear, but we just need some implementation. And for Chrissy's benefit, our staff will need more support on the national level to help us implement that initiative. So.
Very good. Thank you. We know those partnerships are very important, and we make some great strides on the local level. We'd like to see maybe one of our NAWIC members serve on the national board of ABC or AGC. Wouldn't that be something? What positive will result from this pandemic for NAWIC? This is from another past national president, Catherine Schauneberger, from the Granite State Chapter number 218.
I'll take that one.
Oh, I was going to say, Doreen's, been in one of the worst states as far as the
Go
pandemic.
for it.
Oh, if you want me to start, yeah, sure. Yes, we are. I feel like I'm just skirting it. So, well, we just had within Jacobs, we had a quarterly alignment meeting yesterday, and we were talking about this very same thing. And one of the things we talked about is how we will be there for our clients, how will we be there for our staff. And we talked about the worst case scenario, what's the likely case scenario, and what's the best case scenario. And so everybody kind of enjoyed talking about the best case scenario. So some of the things that came out of that is more flexible work, more emphasis on health and safety. The way we do work and how often we go to work is going to change. We're going to have more efficient communications. I think a lot of people are saying, as we're talking on, like, say, a Zoom meeting, that work, even my client is becoming more efficient. Like, I'm getting busier because they're reviewing things quicker because they're working from home. So they have to perform more. And so they have to get things through quicker. So maybe we'll get paid quicker, all that kind of fun stuff. For NAWIC, though, this could mean lots of new ways to connect, like tonight, already a positive, as I noted before, for our campaign. And we could save lots of dollars by innovation. There's lots of different ways we can be more efficient. So I think there's a lot of positive coming out of this.
Very good. Karen.
Well, to me, this pandemic has really shown just how strong our connections are within NAWIC. I mean, I think I've talked to board members and chapter members more lately than I do when I see them face to face. I mean, we are innovating, and that's a huge deal. If we sat down and did nothing, then I know we would actually lose members, but we aren't. And we're continuing to give our members value, content, and resources, and showing that they're not alone and we are still here. We had an Orlando member who actually had COVID-19, and she was in the hospital, and she kept showing her progression of her hospital stay, and we were all there to support her. So that made that connection even stronger. And then even last night, I was on a call that had 71 participants. 71. I've never seen 71 participants on a call before, and that's huge.
Yeah.
And if we lose members, it's not because of the pandemic, it's because for monetary reasons and not because they don't find value in the association.
Excellent. Anyone else want to comment on that one?
I'll chime in. You know, obviously the growth in technology and it's going to become an expertise that we can lean on going forward. But I also think that, you know, there's only a couple areas where like construction itself as the industry has gotten shut down. I really think that this is a great opportunity to show that the majority of our industry is essential.
Mhm.
And so if you're not in the industry and you're out of work because you're considered not essential, I think that this is an awesome opportunity to show how essential the industry itself is for people that are looking to make the decision on what they want to do with the rest of their life, or they're looking to make a change because they got laid off from their non-essential job. You know, I mean, GLE as an environmental and architectural engineering company, we are considered essential. And one of the reasons is because my department does construction inspections. And if the construction is still going, then the inspections still have to happen because the banks are still open and the contractors still have to get paid. So, I mean, it's very, I don't know, we're essential. And my guys come in every day telling me they're essential. So yay.
Very good. Thanks, Jill. Anyone else?
Real quickly.
Hey, Sandy, this is Christy.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, first off, Jill, thank you very much for being essential because I am currently inspecting a couple of her projects up this way, and it's wonderful. I think as with any universal change, we're going to have to lean in more than ever before, you know, reaching out and to continue to stay connected, however that may be. I think it's just important now more than ever, you know, to know your tribe and, you know, keep those connections. Thank you so much.
Lolene?
That's what, real quick, just, I think this has forced us to focus and to prioritize the things that are truly important and to stay supportive of those things and or those people that mean something to you. So I think that our association is going to rise because of that, because people realize that connectivity is very important to them and it's worth something.
Excellent. Thank you. Other professional associations allow for an email format for voting purposes. This accommodates members across a wide geography for a chapter, and the results are announced at a live chapter meeting. Given recent events that have highlighted the need for organizations to remain agile and in contact with members at a distance, is it positive to change bylaws to allow NAWIC chapter voting to occur via email ballots? This is submitted from Andrea Breen, Milwaukee Chapter 105.
So
Lolene.
May I take this, or I'll start off in terms of that, because this has been something that, again, we would love to do. Everybody would like to make the voting easier, but the challenge isn't just in the email, or it really truly what we do nationally is online voting. beyond the change of the bylaws, because we have about 20 states that do not allow for electronic voting, that's the basis and or the challenge, the thorn in our side. If every state allowed for it, we would allow for online voting. Because Texas is where we're incorporated and our office is there, that's why nationally we are allowed to do that. We would have to create, and if I understand this correctly, individual or separate bylaws for each state in order to make that happen. And it's just a tremendous amount of work. It would be extremely confusing. And for instance, if I moved from California to a state that didn't have it, and I would expect that when I got there, I mean, there's just a whole slew of challenges that I think at this current time make it too difficult or make it unreasonable for us right now to put that time, energy, and effort in. Because I think, hopefully, we may come to a point where enough states recognize nonprofits and allow them to have some kind of an electronic category. So we love that, but it's just unfortunately not conducive at this point in time.
Right. Doreen, you want to add to that?
Yes, I do. Actually, I think I'm going to make you positive, Lorleen. I think this is a time with this pandemic, this is one of the things that could change. Obviously, our voting has to change all over. You know, in New York, we're going to mail-in ballots. They're letting us vote early, et cetera, and doing mail-in ballots. So I think things are going to change. And I think NAWIC could be a voice as one of the bigger nonprofits to go out there and ask states to change their chart, you know, what they ask our charters to be. So I think as a result of this pandemic, this is something we can have a voice in and make the change.
Very good. Anybody else?
And I also, sorry, just toss out, I've been working thankfully with Chris Wigginton on fostering or starting a chapter in Montana. And she has done extensive research on, again, the teleconference voting. So while it wouldn't be for officers, we may be able to incorporate teleconferencing to get some kind of voting going on the chapter level. Again, it's a little different. It would require roll calls for each person to do the votes. There's some complexity to it, but I think that we'll make some small incremental steps. And I think that Montana may be the first one to target this when we get it up and going. But again, don't despair. We're working on it. It's just not here yet.
Well, it does come down to a legal issue on the state level. And that's why we're where we are right now.
True.
Get out and vote, people. Contact. Okay. It is vital for any professional organization to encourage membership at all stages of a person's career. What would you recommend for getting student involvement at a chapter level? Currently, students are classified as member at large with no voting rights per our bylaws. Other professional organizations allow for student chapter formation at college and university level with their own structure of officers, which is often a training ground for members to move into the professional arm of the organization. What would your plan be to help local chapters organize students in specific school locations while still fulfilling the bylaws, which restrict student chapter formation to help raise more interest and involvement across the life of a potential member? This is from Andrea Breen, Milwaukee Chapter 105.
I can, well, go ahead. Go ahead, Jill.
Yeah.
We do have student chapter guidelines. They do exist. However, because of, and don't quote me, but it was some act back in the 1960s that said colleges can't have, basically they can't have clubs that discriminate against, you know, sex, race, religion, blah, blah. And because of that, that means that they can't have a woman-only NAWIC club. So they would have to open up their membership to men. Well, because of NAWIC's bylaws, we can't have men in them. Therefore, they can't fall under the NAWIC umbrella. But there are guidelines. So my suggestion is if you have a local college, you know, reach out to the head of the construction department, one of the construction professors, engineering, architecture, any of those programs, and encourage them, because when you read the guidelines, there's like a liaison that needs to be between the local chapter and the students, but I believe that they can be included in our correspondence, anything that comes out, our communication, the connection newsletter, stuff like that comes out from NAWIC. And I think that they get some, I think there's like some reduced rates and stuff like that for region events maybe, or national events, something like that.
Yes. Yes, I wanted to add to what Jill's saying. One thing I just want to, I don't want to correct the person, but there's more than just a member at large. There's also, you can also be affiliated with a chapter, because we do have in New York, you can be we have 2 student affiliate members. And yes, the colleges, you can't have it has to be a club at the college, and it can't exclude women. I want to use CMAA as a example here, because in New York, we have student members actually for NAWIC, and we give them discounts to come to our events. And we've talked about starting student chapters, but I keep, it's a complicated thing. We do have guidelines, like Jill said. They really have to start their own thing within the college, and then we would provide a liaison, and CMAA does that. I taught at Stevens College, and they had a construction management club, which I went and spoke to, and they stayed affiliated with the Construction Management Association of America of the Metro chapter through a liaison. So she would stay connected with them, help them with events, send them speakers, that kind of thing. She was a liaison. So I would encourage, if they want to do a student chapter or get students involved in their chapter, or have the students start a club or some kind of, and have the guys join it in the college. What a better way to get them educated and bring women in to speak about their careers. But definitely use a liaison of some sort, give students discounts on your events, and that's the best way to get that started. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I do.
Karen?
Also, when you have your student chapters in the colleges, they have to have a faculty member to be their sponsor, and sometimes that's a little tricky. So we do have student membership on a national level. So what you should do is encourage these college students to become a national student member, which is a really reduced rate. And then they can have access to everything that the chapter has access to. They can be around the members, be mentored, participate in committees and networking. And then this becomes a segue to them when they become an active member after they complete their schooling and get into the industry, possibly at a member company. So they need to take advantage of that student member membership that we have.
Right. Anyone else? I'm not a candidate, but I can speak that this student chapter has worked well for us in the past at Texas A&M University in College Station. And Karen's very accurate when she says it takes a faculty member that sponsors it. If you've got a good faculty member that's really into that, it works great. And I have witnessed student members of the university level becoming active NAWIC members. And my first year in NAWIC at convention, we had 5 young women from Texas A&M University who were student members, attended national convention. And I think at least 3 of those became full-time employees in the industry and became NAWIC members. It's very encouraging to see that. Again, it goes back to those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Develop those relationships. And if you've got a chapter in an area where universities or colleges are located, you need those NAWIC members to volunteer to speak at those universities and club meetings to really encourage those young members. Well, let's see. Have there been any new questions come in while we've been chatting here?
Hi, Sandy. Yes, there was. And we did touch on this some, I think a little bit, but still want to ask this question. And this question is for Jill and Doreen as the president-elect candidates, and it comes from Heather Groves. Her question is, how do the president-elect candidates plan to build on our NAWIC brand and help expand our marketing opportunities to reach more women?
Jill. Okay, I'll
Are
go.
we going to do this alphabetically or how do you want to do this?
Why not?
Heather,
I think
nothing
that's
like an
been
easy
answered
question.
multiple times.
All right. Doreen, go ahead.
Sure. So yes, we're actually in the process of doing that now, and the board members know that, the current board members, and still on the task force with the marketing and branding. We're definitely going to hone our message and then put it out there on a national level. To build it, we have to make sure our chapters are coordinating with us on that message and that branding. And then we just have to, and our brand basically is going to be built on who we are right now. If you remember, you got the surveys back in, I think it was October, and the branding and the is all based on your responses. And we got a very good response on the survey. We weren't shocked by a lot of it. It's very much who we are. And when that branding comes out, which will be up to our current president and our current board, you will see that NAWIC can continue to build on that brand very easily because we are already there building on that brand.
Thank you, Doreen. Jill, would you like to add to that?
Well, it's kind of a hard question because, you know, we do have a marketing firm that's coming out with a branding plan for us. So I think the most important thing is just to make sure that our members and our chapters are just informed as to the changes that are being made and making sure that we're presenting a united front. You know, that's what branding's about, is making sure that, you know, you're recognizable between Tampa and San Francisco and New York. I mean, it should all look the same everywhere you go. So I think that making sure everybody's informed as to what the branding timeline is and the branding itself is, and as we're implementing things, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay, thank you, ladies. That was very informative. If there's no other questions, I'll give each one of you 30 seconds for a final comment. Whatever you want to make it. We're going to start with Christy.
I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to join us tonight on the call. If you've got additional questions, reach out to all of us, any of us. We're available. Thank you.
Karen?
Again, I would also like to thank you, everyone, for joining us, and to please be safe. If you need anything, reach out to another NAWIC member, reach out to me. I'm available at any time. And please get out and vote.
Mm-hmm.
Lolene?
Yes, it's been a wonderful time being associated with the board and also being a NAWIC member for the last 11 years. And I appreciate all the support that I've received. I wish everybody health and happiness in this next few months. I think it's going to be a challenge, but hang in there. Do not hesitate to reach out and ask if you need help or if you just want to chat. We'd love to hear from you. Please vote.
Thank you. Jill?
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, everybody behind the scenes for putting this all together. Thank you, everybody, for interrupting your dinner time to join us, especially on the East Coast, where it's past dinner time for us. But thanks, everybody, for being here. And like everybody has said, if you have any questions, reach out to all of us, reach out to any one of us. And stay safe. Stay 6 feet apart and make sure you vote, because you can get as close as you want to your computer.
Thank you very much. Doreen?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I thank you, Sandy, for moderating us. You're an ultimate professional. I love all these ladies on the board. I'm so happy that we're all stepping up and running and setting a great example. Yes, stay healthy. Reach out to us. I'm available, LinkedIn, bartnawick@gmail.com, etc. So step up and yes, definitely vote. It really means a lot. It's going to mean a lot to your future leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. I remind all the NAWIC members that the ballots will go out May 15th. The deadline for voting will be May 31st. You can see the candidates' profiles on the NAWIC website. That's www.nawic.org. Don't hesitate to look that up. The beautiful pictures and all the bios there gives you a little history on their leadership and where they've been and how they've come up through the ranks. It's been an honor for me to participate in this town hall. I just want to congratulate each of our candidates. At one time or another, I have had the opportunity to either serve on the national board with you or been around you more than once. So I know your passion. I know each one of you are very well qualified for the position you're running for. And I thank you for your time and your leadership, the mentoring you do, and your passion to continue on to help move NAWIC in the direction we need to go. So with that, on behalf of the NAWIC staff, thank you, Chrissy, Amber, and everybody that's helped put this together. For our candidates, I'm Sandy Field, CBT, CIT, NAWIC past national president, signing off. Good night.
Thanks.
Party on the deck.
Dinner time.